from the New York Times, how fraud swamped Minnesota's social services system on Tim Walz's watch. Prosecutors say members of the Somali diaspora, a group with growing political power, were largely responsible. President Trump has drawn national attention to the scandal amid his crackdown on immigration. They say federal prosecutors charged dozens of people with felonies, accusing them of stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from a government program meant to keep children fed during the COVID-19 pandemic. At first, many in the state saw the case as a one-off abuse during a health emergency, but as new schemes targeting the state's generous safety net programs came to light, state and federal officials began to grapple with a jarring reality. And then we had this drop from Secretary Sean Duffy, who says, just one day after 400 brave employees from Minnesota DHS exposed massive fraud, U.S. DOT has discovered that 1/3 of non-domiciled CDLs were issued illegally in the state. Minnesota, you're on notice. You have 30 days to fix this or lose $30 million in federal funding. A massive scandal. And it's interesting. We're hearing these accusations that the Somali diaspora was stealing hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, I am shocked, I tell you, shocked to find that people who aren't from here, who don't care about our traditions, who are here, often many of them illegally or through chain migration, would steal money from hardworking Americans and steal the inheritance of the younger generations. I am shocked. Okay, obviously not really. I've been having conversations with a lot of people and about multiculturalism, about the state of the economy and why it's going on. And I put up a video today at 2 p.m. about brutalism and how everything got so ugly, which is really interesting. But I think the main issue that we are seeing at the thinnest layer of, or I should say, this what is a large root cause of all the conflict and crisis, multiculturalism and the fracturing of American culture in general among other American groups. But the easiest way to put it is this. Why? The question posed by this guy was really, really great. His name is Sheehan Quirk. He said, we got a great sponsor. It is Beam Dream. Head over to shopbeam.com, my friends, /Timpool and pick up your Beam Dream, your nighttime sleep blend. Helps you sleep better. I drink this stuff every night. I swear by it. It is delicious. It's got melatonin, magnesium, L-theanine. It is fantastic. And right now, you will get their early Black Friday sale, 50% off. I really do think it's fantastic. And this is legit. I do drink it every single night. My sleep improved. I didn't even know it could improve. And now for the past several months, I've been having consistently good sleep. And you guys know that I recently had a baby. So that's pretty impressive. Good stuff, Beam Dream. Why is it that you have these beautiful lampposts near the River Thames, and then just, a block away, they're just black, boring sticks? And he gives his reasons. But my reason is that when you have traditions and you have a group of people who all agree, this is beautiful, let's do this, things get done. But let's say you bring in 50% Somali migrants. They're going to say, we don't want that. We want Somali tradition. So what happens? The lowest common denominator. In this, what we're seeing with Minnesota and what they were doing is these people are not Americans. They don't care about America. Ilhan Omar said she was a congressional representative for Somalia. And so these people are looking at it like, I'm here for myself and my community, and you aren't. A viral post recently, which is probably very old, I might add, a viral post been going around where it was someone claiming that they were a Chinese national in the U.S. on a student visa, and they racked up $100,000 in credit card debt and then returned back to China. And they said, for the glory of China, I have taken as much as I can from the American empire. They'll never see a penny back. They were encouraging Chinese students who Trump is going to give these visas to come, rack up massive debt, purchasing products on credit cards, and then leave with it all so they retain that wealth in China where they can never be prosecuted and no suits can be served. This is what we're seeing as, unfortunately, the Democrats, the Biden administration, let in 10+ million non-citizens, and American culture is falling apart.
People used to come here to be a part of America and to promote being American, become American. And now people come here to leech off the system. And they see stuff like this. It's like turning the whole country into a game show, into like winning the lottery and just leeching off of it. And it's terrible. It's part of the controlled collapse that's been going on for the past few decades of this country.
Do you think that people like this should be deported? And the reason I ask is because obviously there's indictments for the people that are accused of this. Like, if they're found guilty, should they be sent back to Somalia?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, of course.
I think that my position on people that are here illegally and people that are here legally, like if you are not here for the betterment of the United States, you shouldn't be here. There was a video going around from the whatever podcast of a girl from Colombia,
Right.
and it's got millions of views or whatever. And the guy asked her, if there was a conflict between Colombia and the United States, who would you side with? And she's a citizen. She took the oath and became an American citizen. And she said Colombia. People that come here and that were in the riots earlier this year, if they were waving Mexican flags, if they're a new citizen, if they came here and immigrated here and they're out there waving American flags, strip them of their citizenship and send them away. The woman from Colombia, strip her of her citizenship and send her back.
Yes.
You are not here because you care about the United States and the fundamental principles that the United States is founded on.
I go further than that. If you are not a benefit to this country, get out. The idea that we owe other people from other countries to come here, it's the stupidest thing ever. You come here because we are extending a grace to you. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I married an immigrant and went through the process with him. This was years ago, back in the late 90s. And we had to sign a statement saying that we would not take any sort of federal dollars or any programs. And we had to have a sponsor. I was the sponsor and my parents were the sponsor, saying that he would never in any way depend on any kind of welfare or federal dollars. And I believe that's still the law. So I don't understand. And I see this in Oregon as well. There's just a lot of grift of these systems.
I think we are being grifted every facet. This is the sinking of the American ship. Everyone everywhere is trying to rip off as much as they can, even the politicians. Look, Zoran Mamdani gets elected by just lying. He said, I'm going to do things. You can't even do these things. I'm going to make the buses faster. You can't. You don't have the money to do it. You have no authority. I'm going to make the buses free. You don't have the authority to do that. The mayor doesn't do that. We've seen this with our federal level politicians, too. One of the most annoying things is when you'll see someone running for Congress, and they'll be like, if you vote for me, I'll clean up this town. No, you won't. You're going to go vote on federal funding and budgets representing your city. It's the local reps who are going to clean up this town. It's your mayor who's going to clean up the town. But they all run on the pure ignorance of and apathy of the American people. And then you end up with enclaves like in Minnesota with Ilhan Omar that are basically just saying to themselves, how can we rip as much value from these morons as possible? That's what they're doing. That's what this story is.
I think this is indicative of the failure of the project of assimilation in our country is. And I think there's a serious reckoning among Americans who feel as though immigrants are coming to this country, even sometimes legally, but particularly illegally. And when they went through the process and did things the right way, it feels like it's a spit in the face to them. I think Stephen Miller put it quite succinctly when he quote tweeted something in regard to the Afghan refugee who murdered one West Virginia National Guard and seriously wounded another in the past Wednesday, I believe it was. But Stephen Miller tweeted out, "This is a great lie of mass migration. You are not just importing individuals, you are importing societies. No magic transformation occurs when failed states cross borders. At scale, migrants and their descendants recreate the conditions and terrors of their broken homelands." That is to say that if you import the third world, you become the third world. And there's a serious reckoning in our country right now in realizing that.
Yeah, I mean, the people are not just cogs, right? Like the people that are in the United States that do jobs here, they're not replaceable with just another person. That's part of the reason why we should end all H-1B visas. We don't need to have people coming in just to fill positions because some big corporation can pay them less or what have you. The people that are here, the Americans that are here are America, and they're connected to this place. We don't have magic dirt, right? Like you don't come to the United States and set foot on the American soil and automatically become a Jeffersonian Democrat. That's imaginary.
And additionally, bringing Jeffersonian Democrat worldview to Africa didn't do anything either.
Yeah.
Liberia didn't work.
No, it didn't work in Iraq. And that's the most glaring example of the argument that was made. If we go into Iraq, we're going to be treated as liberators and they'll automatically adopt our way of life. They want democracy, et cetera. And then you had, a decade of war and a mess in that country, and a couple million people died. It doesn't work. And to try it here is only to the detriment of the American people.
The other problem is there's a large population in this country that are citizens that have no loyalty to this country and actually see this as a good.
Yeah.
They care more about other countries, other foreigners, than they do about our own citizens.
Well, this is a major constituency of the Democrat Party, particularly in Minnesota. So they have to virtue signal to them. They have to grease up their hands, per se, to get their vote and to get their support. Because otherwise, who knows, they might flip.
You know, I just got to get as conspiratorial as I can on all of this stuff. And I'm not convinced that I would say part of me thinks this is all a distraction from the smallest to the biggest. But distraction maybe isn't the right word. Intentional failure. Or if I want to get away from the conspiratorial, I would say it's emergent failure. The system is doomed to collapse. The technologies that we have built, the masturbatory video games and OnlyFans industry and all of this has created humans who are incapable of sustaining themselves. At the same time, the technological advancement has gotten to the point where AI is basically in the background as a bigger priority. And the end result of all of this, I'm just thinking about where do we go as everything breaks down? And the conversation over multiculturalism brings us right to the conversation of AI, where everybody starts watching their own mini universes of content. No one shares ideas anymore. The stories we tell each other and our society tells to its children is the culture that we build. So when you have 5 TV networks and they're all telling the same stories and everyone hears those stories, their worldview is built upon those stories. Now you've just got people picking and choosing whatever garbage they want. Influencers, young people desperate to try and find a way to make any kind of money thinking that's their path. And we're drifting towards granular culturalism where multiculturalism is an understatement. Let's just call it static or random culturalism, where every individual has a completely different worldview and they all hate each other. Then nobody has kids. Then there's no people left. And the planet is just a bunch of gray blocks everywhere with water being pumped into them as robots build more and more and then launch shuttles to go do that on other planets as well. Right, Shane?
We're there right now, buddy. That's what's happening. I mean, you talk about brutalism. That's taken over for years. I mean, it's disturbing. Brutalism is an affront to beauty, and plus the data centers that are happening. And it's a shame to see. I think it is a controlled collapse. I think they want to see it collapse.
I'm just trying to make it more succinct. We're talking about, how is it the Somali community was stealing hundreds of millions of dollars or even more than $1 billion? Mm-hmm. It's because they are not part of America. Okay? As you were saying, Elaad, they come here and they represent Somalia. They care more about Somalia. There's a viral video where it was a Somali running through a sand dune by the ocean. It looks beautiful. And then someone was like, conservatives discovering Somalia is beautiful is hilarious. And then the response from every conservative was like, then why are they coming here? Okay, go back there. Like in your beautiful country. No, they come here because we are giving away our wealth. We're being extracted. And I'm not the first person to say it. So when I look at what's causing this, it is this view of we can have a multicultural society where you can have Dearborn, Michigan with de facto Sharia law running in the background and female genital mutilation. And you can have the Somali community, but everyone's just stealing from the pot until there's nothing left in the pot. Where do we go from there? Well, everyone's going to live in an isolated, personal, algorithmic world where what they think is true is different from literally the person 5 feet away from them until there is no voting, there is no community, there is no lowest common, or the lowest common denominator is going to be that we eat food, I guess.
In 2016, when we were talking about factions of people being in their bubbles, those seemed like 2 or 3 big bubbles. But now it seems like everyone's going to have their own bubble. Everyone's going to be stuck in their own silo, their own kaleidoscope of information that will be in direct conflict of everyone else's. So there's no reality anymore.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.